is ready for the road. Blessing, good afternoon to each and everyone. Welcome to Facts Not Fiction. We welcome you to this Sunday afternoon proceedings where we always bring the facts to you. So we are grateful for you on social media, whether it be YouTube, Facebook, any platform that you can get this information from. We welcome you. And we, of course, ask you to remember to tune in to the Monday Night Forum. Remember Douglas Politics. And, of course, remember, we always bring the facts to you at any given point in time. So today, ladies and gentlemen, as we get into today's proceedings, I want to say a special good afternoon to my leader, the leader of the United National Congress. Pleasant good day to you, ma'am. Today, ladies and gentlemen, let me put it this way. I have heard coming out from the minister office that school fights down to zero. I want to ask you, ladies and gentlemen, if you believe what comes out from within the People's National Movement camp, whether it be the Women's League, the General Council, the leader, the ministers, the councillors, I want to ask you if you still believe anything that these people in the PNM have to say. While we were hearing Gaspy Dolly speaks of school fight down to zero, we are now faced with some serious situation. A matter of fact, I think this Friday there was several school fights throughout this country, from Siparia West right back. Is fight, is brutalism, is advantage, is bullying, and to the end of the day, we have a minister who believe putting on some hairstyle or taking some hairdo will reduce the number of serious incidents within our nation's school. I think Archie have an article there. Archie, if you had an article there, put it up. Let me look at that article. This article, ladies and gentlemen, is from the Newsday. And this article states, Attorney Petronola Basday on Friday told Newsday she intends to challenge the expulsion of a 15-year-old girl from the Williamsville Secondary School, even as questions have arisen about whether the student had been afforded due process, given the fairly swift decision by the Ministry of Education to expel her. Basdeo earlier oversaw the girl's release after several days in custody at the Oropouche police station, where she had been charged after allegedly wounding another student with a knife in a fight, but with subsequent news reports suggesting she had been a victim of bullying. Other news reports is now suggesting that this student had been a victim of bullying. Basdeo said, for the record, we will be challenging not only the expulsion, but the entire process with respect to our instructions. What happened prior to the expulsion in terms of reports that were made. She referred to an interview of the girl's father in the newspaper on Friday. He indicated several things, especially in terms of reports that he would have made to the school and nothing being done. Absolutely nothing. Newsday asks if she would challenge the expulsion based on whether it had been done by due process. Basdeo said, yes, I will be requesting first of all the information that they relied on to expel her, and we will move from there. Newsday asks how her client was doing. She was in custody for a few days. She is doing okay. She is out. She need rest. Raise up again, Achi. That is it there? All right. So to the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, we are seeing that this whole scenario, and I remember when the scenario was beating social media, I said clearly that I would not comment on the entire situation until getting the facts. And while we hurry to comment on situations without having the total facts surrounding a situation, we could end up putting ourselves or put our foot in our mouth, so to speak. So we are now hearing that this child was a victim of bullying. Now that does not give, I am not advocating in any way that what happened at that school in Williamsville was right, nor am I supporting what had happened. I am merely saying that to the end of the day, we must accumulate all the facts surrounding situations before we make judgment. You see, I could remember that on Douglas Politics, on Douglas Radio, on Facts Not Fiction, on the Monday Night Forum, on press conferences, we in the UNC, we made it quite clear that something needs to be done in order to prevent what has happened and what is to come. What will happen in the future? We have advocated that the minister took decisive or put legislation, come to the parliament with legislation where we can fix this situation before a student lost or loses their life. We had said it. We asked. I remember I spoke of an incident in Sipar West. I spoke about drug block in schools, and the minister denied it. The minister denied on a newspaper article. She denied that drugs is being sold in school, and she denied that serious incidents in relation to knife and cutting and stabbing or whatever, however you want to put it, she denied that this is happening in our nation's school. Now I want to ask the minister. I want to ask the minister what the government that she serves as a minister of education, one of the worst minister of education, by the way, I want to ask Gaspee Dolly what she and the cabinet have put in place to prevent further attacks or further bullying or reduce or bring to naught the drug blocks that is set up within the school system that she pretends does not exist. But I want to tell Gaspee Dolly, if she believes that this doesn't exist, then The poor lady is living within the confines of a bubble. And somebody need to burst that bubble. And I'm not talking about Keith Rowley and Foster Cummins. Somebody needs to burst that bubble. And I'm not referring here to Keith Rowley or Foster Cummins. I am not referring to them. Somebody need to burst the bubble that this young lady, well, judging from what I'm seeing, I should just say this lady, the bubble that she confined herself to. Because, ma'am, let me tell you something. From my information, the hardest set of weed that you could get these days is within the precincts of the school compound. You hear what I'm saying to you? And everybody is aware. The police in various divisions, they are aware. And while they are doing their best to curb that situation, we are saying today that you need to pack your Georgie bundle, take off the wigs or the weaves off of your head, and see if you could understand what the Ministry of Education is all about. Because what I've seen under this PNM government, whether there were pedophile ministers, whether there were pedophile minister or ministers in that ministry, I don't know. I am just saying whether they were within the Ministry of Education over a period of time. Over a period of time, because let me tell you something. Let me go there yet. I'll go deal with that later on. But let me tell you something. I tell you that my leader said that whatever in the dark does come to the light. And let me tell you something. Ole is in so much a light right now that Ole cannot even imagine. Ole are so blinded by the darkness that even the light started to blind Ole, that Ole can't even understand that y'all are complete failure or abject failure in all these various ministries that you folks say that you are managing. Nothing but failure. Gaspidoli, watch our nation schools. Under Kamla Prasad Bisesa as a minister of education in the Basdeo Pandey government, I am telling you that we have seen a certain level of responsibility, a certain level of authority, a certain level of transparency, a certain level of competence. We have seen that. We have seen competence to the highest peak ever in the Ministry of Education. I am saying to you today that today we have seen the breakdown of education. It seems as though that the young people no longer have an interest in education based on the example and the behavior of you folks who sits in government, you folks who continue to behave worse than the children in elementary school. You folks continue to behave in a particular way that the children cannot see any form, anybody in government who they can utilize as a mentor to say, I want to be like my Minister of Education. I want to be like my Prime Minister. I want to be like Camille Robinson Regis. I want to be like Foster Cummins. I want to be like Amor, the Attorney General. I want to be like the President. Oops. Nobody who sits in government could give these youths, these children in school, nobody whatsoever could have these children saying, I want to be like him or her. There is where we are today. Total breakdown in our educational system. Total breakdown. When it's not cutting food, it's cutting gate. When it's not cutting gate, it's cutting laptop. When it's not cutting laptop, it's cutting textbook. When it's not cutting textbook, it's cutting MIC. When it's not cutting MIC is cut short in the university. And that is how we going in this country. That is how we going in this country. That is what you people are doing to the educational system in this country. Totally mashing it up in fine pieces. So when Kamla Persad Bissesa get back into that prime ministerial portfolio, she will have a task on her hand to put Humpty Dumpty together again. That is what you folks do. Let's move on. Point number 2. Well, I see the Law Association. I see the Law Association in this country. They put out 15 points. 15 points. Pursuant to Rule 23 of the first schedule Part A of the Legal Professions Act. 15 points calling for the Attorney General to go. Calling for the Attorney General to go. Well, today, ladies and gentlemen, let me take off these glasses. As we steam this thing up here this afternoon, and I totally support the opposition leader, the leader of the UNC, my leader, the leader who will continue to lead me, when she calls for Amor, the Attorney General, to resign forthwith, I fully endorse the leader of the opposition in that call for this lying Attorney General to pack up his Georgie bundle, pack up his lunch kit, and head out in the rain, because there is where he belongs. You cannot tell me, ladies and gentlemen, that we have an Attorney General who ought to be demonstrate, who ought to hold up the laws of this country, who must lead by example, going to a Florida court under oath and lie, desecrate, decimate, embarrass the law fraternity, the country, the opposition, soon to be government, and every citizen, not only in Trinidad and Tobago, but in the entire Caribbean. You see, when my leader, Buster Mark, about 2 weeks ago, actually, thereabouts, I wasn't hearing anything from the Law Association. I wasn't hearing anything from the Law Association. You see, I want to ask Sophia Choate, this lady here, I want to ask her, how come the Law Association was so quiet until hours ago? So let me warm it up. Let me steam it up. Are you ready? Are you ready? Well, fasten on the seatbelt, because the plane is about to take off. I want to ask Sophia Choate, I want to ask the head of the Law Association, I want to ask you today, where were you when the president of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, who had a merit list in her possession, a list where she authenticates, where she understands her role and her responsibility, her functions, where she as the president know for a fact that the merit list, upon reaching in her hands, the next place that it should end up was in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago. How come when the president breached the Constitution and give back the list to the individual who brought it, where was the Law Association? How come the Law Association is still dumb today? 1. 2. Where were the Law Association when documentation came out alleging that Faris Alwari, who was sitting in the same place where Amor now sits, conspire with Queen's Counsel Nelson and put a document together, and coming out of that document granting Nelson all kind of immunity in relation to whether he speak the truth or he lie, whether the statement is true or false. How come I haven't heard anything from the Law Association? Three, how come, Ms. Choate, when the chairman of the Police Service Commission, Bliss Sipasad, who took the list to President House, and as a result of the President and Bliss action, how come I wasn't hearing the Law Association making any statement as a result of the behavior of Bliss Sipasad, the President, and others who I will come to in a while? How come I wasn't hearing the Law Association or you, Ms. Strode, in relation to the mashing up of the whole Police Service Commission? Four, how come, Ms. Strode, that when the Prime Minister speaks of not being aware of this high-ranking official that went and conspired with the President and Bliss Sipasad in relation to the merit list, how come when the Prime Minister confessed to this country that he was the individual who went as the high official, how come I did not hear anything from you or the association that you lead? Six, how come, Ms. Strode, how come when Senator Vera, the independent senator, who stood up in the parliament, who I believe is also an attorney, stood up in the parliament and confessed how sitting judges call him on his telephone and express disgust about the opposition when they seeks to bring a motion for a hearing to impeach the president? How come I did not hear you or your association make or made any statement in relation to Senator Vera? Within our parliament. Today, how come I ain't hearing you asking Vera or putting out a statement on behalf of the same lawyers that the convening of the meeting to take this decision? How come I did not hear you guys speaks of getting the names of these judges who the regulation and the code of ethics will debar them from echoing such sentiment, whether it be to an independent senator, an opposition senator, or a government senator? How come I in here all you say anything, all you're dumb for the PNM, but because you folks are now publicly and internationally embarrassed, all in a sudden, all you know about Rule 23 of the first schedule part A of the Legal Profession Act, all you now know it exists. It wasn't existing all the time when there was so much of misbehavior by government officials who also carry the title of being an attorney. All you didn't know that schedule exists. All you didn't know that there was a code of ethics. All you have a prime minister who continue to lie locally, internationally, and all over the place. But that is not important. All you had a former attorney general who bring all sort of erroneous legislation to the parliament, whereby those legislation would have protect some of their own and condemn others who don't belong to them. Or they didn't know that rule, that schedule 23 exists. How come all that has been going on in relation to legal matters in this country with PNM high-ranking officials, how come all you had nothing to say? All you have absolutely nothing to say? But all in a sudden, Ms. Stewart, because the opposition expose what is happening with the Attorney General who once lead or once sit in that same chair that you now sit. I wonder if everybody who sits in that chair behave the same way. I wonder if everybody who sits in that chair, that they are PNM stooges. I am wondering. I am also asking how many of the Law Association members will continue to support the PNM, because, and not only support the PNM, but support the PNM wrongdoing, simply because when the month comes, there is hundreds of thousands and also millions of dollars that goes into the pockets as a result of legal briefs. Which one of you guys is now contending and lobbying to take the position of Amor? Is it you, Ms. Stewart? Is it one of your colleagues? Who would be in the chair next? You see, this politics, PNM politics, have a way of exposing the PNM stooges. Because all that happened in this country for the past 7 years, we have not seen the Law Association get up, speak out, call for the resignation of Faris Alwari. We have never seen the Law Association condemn Senator Vera in his behavior, in his conduct in the parliament. And worse, with what he revealed, that sitting judges call him on his phone and express disgust about opposition members. That is the code of ethics, Ms. Stewart, that all you condone. I don't know. How come all you have nothing to say about Vera? How come all you have nothing to say? Is it a case where only if you are exposed internationally, then all you speak? That is when all will speak. I
code, a mafiosi code. We keep each other's secret. It's only when you break rank, you go there and expose us, and for that, we're going to kill you politically. It's the code of the Cosa Nostra. As long as we stay together, we will survive together. And we agree not to breach the code of secrecy.
I now understand. I actually run that again if I could. Run that again. Let me see if I could help Trinidad and Tobago to understand why the Law Association is so quiet and why the Prime Minister will go into the Law Association to get another Attorney General. Run it.
A code, a mafiosi code. We keep each other's secret. It's only when you break rank, you go there and expose us, and for that, we're going to kill you politically. It's the code of the Cosa Nostra. As long as we stay together, we will survive together. And we agree not to breach the code of secrecy.
Ms. Stewart, let me ask you a question, ma'am. Let me ask a question here today. Are you in any way a part of that Cosa Nostra? Question I asking. Question, you know why I have to ask that question? Because I cannot understand all that have been transpired. We have been in a constitutional crisis because of the breach between the president, the police service chairman, and the prime minister of the country, and you all had nothing to say. A constitutional crisis, and you all had absolutely nothing to say. What is going on within the Law Association? The same Law Association which was so vocal between 2010 and 2015. A matter of fact, I could probably go back and get about 60 or 70 different speeches that came out from the Law Association. What is happening under this government and you people? Why is this Cosa Nostra, mafios, is so tight-knitted in every institution? Every institution in this country, there is a mafios inside of there, implanted by the prime minister, so that anytime we reach the point of breaking the camel back, there is a massive cover-up. There is a cover-up, and the worst mafiosa, the most mafios, is when you control the police service. When you control the police service, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say to you today that there will be no justice, that there will be no freedom, there will be no constitutional rights, and there will also be none whatsoever, no persecution to all the wrongdoers who sits within the government, especially those who sits within the cabinet. You see, I want the boys and girls, I want those in prison, I want you folks in prison today to understand that there is no justice, that there is no justice whatsoever for those who make the laws to put you in prison. They are exempted from the same laws that you broke, that get you in prison. Is the same laws and worse that they continue to break daily. And yet, the more they breach and break these laws, is the more they blossom, the more money in the pocket, is the more that they sits in the offices that continue to fail this country. The offices that should bear, so nurture justice for all, is the same areas in which these mafiosas sit, because they are appointed there to protect those who will breach the laws, those who will pilfer, thief, rob money from you, the future, you, the young people in this country. They are there to protect them. every investigation is controlled by the Prime Minister appointee. Every investigation to bring fairness, justice to this country, it is in the hands of the Prime Minister appointee. And it's there. And while the Prime Minister appointee is there without confirmation, while he have to act, the purpose for remaining and leaving him there to act and not to confirm, it's simply to have control. Because some of these men, they are so hungry and greedy for power that they will sell their integrity to please an individual who promised to confirm them in a position where they could go home with a big pension and live sumptuously every day. You see, this is what we face. We are faced with people in positions that is appointed by the Prime Minister of this country, and they are appointed there to do the bidding of the Prime Minister. They are appointed there for protection of the Prime Minister. They are appointed there to stifle, to destroy any form of evidence that will come forth to incriminate, to bring justice to the people of this country. They are appointed there as the Mafia Cosa Nostra to protect the chief mafia from any form of persecution. That is how it works. That is how it works. He will appoint them in strategic positions to ensure that his well-being, while they are promised positions, while they receive briefs, millions of dollars in briefs, and briefs is a big word for little legal petty advice. They will give a 2-line advice, something that my son Omar could advise the Prime Minister on, but yet they will get $3 and $4 million for a 2-line sentence. 2 lines. Is this why the Law Association members are so quiet? Some of those law firms who are owned by politicians, they too conspire. It's not only the Attorney General that should be facing the courts. It is a number of those high-ranking officials within the judiciary, within the law fraternity. A number of these guys should be in prison. Some of these attorneys, they are more wicked and they are more criminals than those who in prison for crime. Some of these politicians who sit within the PNM, they should be behind bars. Some of the lawyers that work for the PNM, they should be behind bars. Some of the ministers in government today, bars is imminent. Prison is imminent. And that is why they freed Kamla Persad-Bissessar. That is why they spread this rumor that Kamla must go. Because Kamla Persad-Bissessar sent home every individual who were in her government with any form of allegation. Go clear and come back. You know what message that sent to the PNM? It sends a message that if she could send her own to go and clear your name and come back, much less those in the PNM with solid allegations. You see, they know for a fact that Kamala retaining government, that a number of high-ranking officials would go to jail, and that is what they want to break. So while they say Kamala must go and Kamala have to go, well, today I stopped by to let you know that the only place after God that Kamala would be going is back in the chair of the Prime Minister, and all those criminals who conduct criminal act within this PNM government will face the wrath of justice. They will face the courts not as lawyers and ministers, but they will face the courts as defendants and accused persons. That is what they're afraid. We have allegations, $143,800. We have a credit card, government credit card, that people allegedly use to fertile themselves with taxpayers' money. We have a brother of a super minister who was just the pauper, and today is a multi-millionaire. Just imagine, this man is alleged to have been borrowing money from a financial institution in this country to lend the government at a higher interest rate. At a higher interest rate. We have other ministers who is on all kind of beautification projects, building roads and crossover on his family property, paying millions of dollars. We have ministers whose wife controls law firm, and while it is a conflict of interest, they will allow another ministry to give their wives legal briefs where they will solicit and make millions of taxpayers' dollars. That is where we are. That is the Cosa Nostra. They keep each other secret. And in order to reveal the secret and to mash up the Cosa Nostra, we have to put Kamala Persad-Bissessar back in government in order to bring fairness, justice, equity to this country, and put who needs to be in jail, and who needs to run, let them run. We have had, ladies and gentlemen, allegations with $4.4 million sitting in a credit union, sitting where a minister went to court to try to muzzle Senator Jayanti Lachmidial, a senator who have fortitude, a senator who don't afraid to fight. I have never seen Kamla Prasad Bisesa appoint a senator who don't afraid to fight. All of them is fighters. But guess what? It takes the court to tell the minister that the UNC could speak. But I want to know, who will tell the speaker that the UNC could speak? You see, when I tell you that the government have placed individuals in strategic positions to protect, to shelter, and to keep the code, the mafiosa code of secrecy intact. If you don't believe me, then just examine the parliament. Examine the parliament, and you will see another mafiosa individual sitting in the parliament of Trinidad and Tobago. So how could you, the people, get justice in this country? You could only get justice by reinstating Kamla Prasad Bisesa in that prime minister chair. That is what you have to do. Put back Kamla in the chair, and let us put those who have to go in the electric chair, let us send them there. Send them there. Foster Cummins went to court to try to stop the truth. You could believe that? You could believe that? Foster Cummins went to court to try to debar the truth. The senator spoke of a special branch report. Did that report exist? And the answer is yes. So what's the problem? What is the problem? Today, ladies and gentlemen, we have a prime minister who gone somewhere dilly-dallying, whether in California or wherever, dilly-dallying, posing with pictures, when we will expect the prime minister would have taken the Judith Jones report, take it to America, and ask the President of America, Joe Biden, to send the FBI, to send the Secret Service, send other agencies to hold, to lock up, to stop the abuse of our children by this massive pedophile ring. Instead of, when we believe that the Prime Minister took that report to America, we don't know the Prime Minister go on there to dilly-dally with photo and picture. Dilly-dallying with photo and pictures while our children continue to bawl in agony and pain with the abuse of these nasty politicians who sits within the PNM, high-ranking officials in the judiciary and other business people, raping our children in this country. When we thought that the Prime Minister would have come back with the FBI agents and start the investigation to put some of these high-ranking officials under pressure, it's not that. It's not that. The Prime Minister don't have time with that. He tell you that he appoints some task force to make recommendation. So while the task force making recommendation, our children are being buggered, raped, brutalized, murdered in this country. Disappearing, we can't find them. Only thing I will stop, I will never surrender until justice comes to these children in this country. I don't care what it cause. It could be a political career for me. That's not important. I will not stop raise this issue until justice come to our children in this country, the children who ought to be the future of this Trinidad and Tobago, brutalized by these wicked, evil devil. And the Prime Minister in California probably eating shrimps and drinking scotch and playing golf. You tell me, people, you tell me, is this what you will continue to support in this country? Is this what you will continue to vote for in this country? You tell me if this is what you'll continue to support in this country. You will support this kind of brutality, this kind of lack of caring, this kind of wickedness, geographical discrimination, everything negative is what this PNM bring to the table, and that is what you will support. We will stand up and fight. We will fight this government down to the last. You know why? And we will fight them legally. We will fight them by protests. We will fight them by demonstration. We will fight them by placards. We will fight them by standing up by their homes. And all I know, I ain't afraid to go by the house. I ain't afraid to go by none of them house. Anytime, I ain't afraid. I am going to stand up. Omar, come. I am going to stand up in this country. I am going to stand up in this country for every boy, every girl, every individual of this nature. You just imagine this child being abused by someone big as me. Watch me, ladies and gentlemen. Someone big and strong like me abusing this little child. And our Prime Minister could go to the United States without having people arrested for this kind of criminal act. Watch the innocent in Omar. Watch this child. How many children like this? How many children like this, ladies and gentlemen, tonight would be abused? How many children like this will be crying in pain tonight? How many children like this we would allow these evil pedophiles to murder without justice? Akil Chambers was just 1 year older than my son. Akil Chambers was 1 year older than Omar. Could you imagine, ladies and gentlemen, what this child had been through with no justice? And we comfortable as adults in this country. Go ahead, Omar. We comfortable as adults in this country with that type of behavior by high-ranking officials, people who we have entrusted with the power to protect, to look after, to love, to cherish, to bring policies to help us to grow, to enhance the ability of children like Omar to become lawyers, doctors, nurses. Afraid to say judges. Afraid to say judges. I will leave that out. Afraid to say Prime Minister at this point. I will wait until Kamala sits in that chair again and then make reference to having these children become Prime Minister. Not now. Not now. Not under what we have seen and what we continue to experience. Not now. Not now, ladies and gentlemen. I will not support that now. You see, today, ladies and gentlemen, as I wind up, time is gone and I now start to get warm. Today, I am calling on you, citizens of this country, to stand up as you have never stand before. Stand in defense of the children of this country, and let us collectively remove the PNM out of office and reinstate a leader who have demonstrated compassion, a leader who have proven herself with a track record to be the prime minister for every creed and for every race, a leader who have demonstrated a type of love that we have never experienced. A matter of fact, some of you folks have never even experienced the love like what Kamala Persad-Bissessar has demonstrated to you between 2010 and 2015. Some of you never even get that from your own parents' home. I gone.
No, we got to try to make the vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. For the youth them, no, we got to try.
So I am